If you find yourself in the market for perhaps your first gas pistol, specifically as a sidearm to complement your rifle, more often than not, we probably steer you towards the Umarex VFC lineup of Glocks. Just like their firearm counterparts, they aren't the flashiest or as tunable as something like a high kappa, but over the past few years, we've noticed consistent build quality and performance right out of the box. With a crisp, tactile trigger, that's a lot of fun to shoot. Now, of their Glock lineup, the G45 has a couple attributes that might make it a prime contender. It's not groundbreaking by any means, but in the hands feels refined and balanced. You could call it a good Goldilocks option. But first, for those who don't know, what even is it? A bit of background lore, if I may, as it is quite interesting. You'd be forgiven if you thought the Glock 45 is simply a Glock chambered in 45 ACP because, well, that would make sense, but Glock names its guns after its sequential list of patents, so the Glock 17 is actually just their 17th patent. It's really that simple. The G45 chambered in 9mm is the end result of perhaps one of the biggest and controversial deals in recent handgun history. When the US Army announced their modular handgun system competition with an extremely lucrative $580 million contract on the line, Glock took their compact yet ballistically effective 19 length upper and mated it with the larger, more ergonomic 17 lower. The contract specifically required that the grip fit a wide range of hand sizes. They added a few contract-required features, most notably a manual safety, which is extremely rare for a Glock, and named it the G19x after the competition. Testers immediately noted the excellent weight balance and handling characteristics of the new configuration. The G19x performed extremely well, and it was neck and neck with its biggest rival, the SIG P320. With both pistols reaching the final stages, it ultimately came down to price, and not only did SIG underbid Glock, but they partnered up with Winchester to co-develop a new 9mm round specifically for military use, dubbed the XM1152 and 1153. Effectively, SIG and Winchester offered a deal the Army couldn't resist, and it's speculated that the final decision was made well before testing was ever completed. Gaston Glock even wrote up an official complaint, but would ultimately fall on deaf ears. Perhaps Glock had a bit of revenge though, as they removed the safety and released the G19x to the civilian market, selling 100,000 units in less than 6 months, quickly becoming one of the fastest selling handguns of all time. Not content to stop there, Glock further refined the 19x into the Glock 45, specifically for law enforcement, a market Glock is no stranger to. The shorter slide proved extremely popular for officers who complained the 17 length barrel would hit their seat of their patrol cars, causing the entire duty belt to ride up. Comparing the 45 to the 19x side by side, of course, the most obvious difference is the color, the 19x coming in a coyote tan and the 45 in the standard black. The Glock 45 loses the lanyard ring, which was a requirement for the contract. They added front slide serrations, which helped with press checking and, in my opinion, adds a bit of visual detail on an otherwise blank front end. Perhaps most notably, they removed the forward lip on that magwell. This lip was meant to help aid magazine swaps and prevent the occasional pinky pinching between the magazine and the grip, but this also means that standard G17 magazines with the larger base plate will not fit. If you love that tan color, the G19x might be a better call for a nearly identical feeling gun, but if you're not that picky on color, I'd say the G45 is the better call. Comparing it to a standard Glock 17, the slide length difference doesn't seem all that significant, but in the hands, there is a pretty noticeable difference with how it feels. The G17 grip has long been regarded as a very comfortable, versatile grip, and with a little bit less forward mass and more weight down low, just feels a bit more settled and natural to point. It's certainly not a drastic difference, but it's definitely worth trying both out and seeing which one you prefer. Looking at the trigger, it feels very similar to their other offerings. It's by no means a race gun trigger, but as a duty style trigger, it's got a smooth take-up, if a little bit on the long side. Nice, consistent, and light break with a bit of over travel after the break, but the real shining aspect is a very tactile and audible reset. A positive reset just feels better for double taps and really helps you learn the trigger. This one is definitely one of the best. Magazine is a standard 17 Gen 5 magazine with gas filled through the bottom and a nice wide track to fill in your BBs. Nothing to write home about, but we're a fan of the base plate design, which incidentally also allows you to stand up the gun on its own. Nifty. Cycling the gun, the blowback feels every bit as crisp as their other Glocks, and through our testing encountered zero issues. It's not the hardest kicking nor the fastest cycling as some, but a nice middle ground for double taps, and along with that nice clicky reset, feels satisfying to shoot on the range. At the end of the day, the G45, just like its wheel counterpart, isn't groundbreaking by any means, but it takes everything people liked about the newer Gen 5 Glock 17 and put it in a potentially more balanced and maybe more practical package. If you already own an Umarex Glock, I'd say it's more of a lateral upgrade, if maybe a nice piece of Glock history that you can use your mags for. But if you're looking for your first sidearm, I would definitely recommend giving the G45 a shot. Let us know what you think about the G45 in the comments. Do you think Glock should have beat out SIG for the next US Army sidearm? Or maybe they should have stuck with Berettas and upgraded to M9A3s? As always, thanks for watching, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you on the next one.